Well, hello there, stamping friends. This is Traci Raether from Plum Crazy Stamping. Welcome to, June 24th, 2026. I've got to say, don't mind, oops, this side, the big bruise on my face. I had dental work done last week, so it looks pretty hideous. Um, but you know what? We can't stop progress, so I'm live today anyway. So, very excited today to share with you a wedding card. Not only is it something you can do for a wedding card, it's also a special trifold design that will work for any special occasion. I love this card. It was easy. I really put designer series paper to work, minimal stamping as far as sentiments go, because I really focused on using a couple of die cuts, did fussy cutting, and then used designer series paper to really, I guess, zhuzh up this card. You guys know that's my word lately. So that's what we're going to do. Let me go ahead. I'm going to flip the camera down. And while I'm doing that, if you will sign in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please be in your account, whether it be your Google account or your YouTube account, and you can use the comments there too. So I'd like to know who you are and where you're watching from. Also in the comments, if you have any questions or or feedback on the project, please put it there. All right, let's go ahead and let's get focused on the desktop here. Now, this is this gorgeous card. So, oh my gosh, I'm going to open it once and then again, and we're going to have all these pages. Actually, we're going to design 5 different panels for this card. But none of them are going to be too difficult. And just know you can use this design with any of the supplies you have in your stash. And you can decide to focal on florals the way that I did, or you may be able to focus on a certain animal. You could use a certain color or a certain occasion, and it would be gorgeous. And the thing is, just think about how you can relate these 5 panels, to get some continuity for your card. So, hi, Kathy. So nice to see you here. And then I'm not going to, I am going to make the envelope for you today, but I just did a little something special. So, how many of you have designer series paper with just a little half image? Don't throw it away. You can use it to decorate the front, back of an envelope. And then here's that little piece of 2¼ by 6 inches of scrap designer series paper, which fits perfectly on an envelope flap. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the things that I like to do when I share one of my designs is to tell you how I got started on the design. So I'm going to 2 very special weddings. 2 of my very dear friends' kids are getting married this summer. And so I thought, when I'm making, first I wanted to make a really special card. So that's why I decided on the trifold. And then I wanted to do something that would match the wedding. So I, with the help of their moms, found out what their thing was, right? So one of the 2 brides is totally in love with blue hydrangea. Well, I happen to be in love with hydrangea too. And so now this is back in the day. I don't even think it says what year this is. But anyway, Hydrangea Haven was one of my favorite bundles. And actually, when I made this card, I found myself not needing this stamp set, but it's part of the bundle. And what I used were the dies. And let me just pop this open. I have everything cut to help things go quickly for us today. But anyway, I really focused on the flower that becomes 3D. So this is the head of the hydrangea. I wanted the stem and leaves to pop out. I think the dental work kind of messed up my speech. And I didn't really use any other die cuts but those. Okay, so that was what I chose to use out of this bundle. Then I went hunting for what I thought, what am I going to use for sentiments? And I was going to have different sentiments in this. So the first one I found was this Forever Fern. This is also, I'm digging in my stash, folks. Love and laughter forever after. I love this sentiment, and I don't have a lot of wedding sentiments, so I think this one really goes well. All right, so I've got that. Then I liked Flourishing Phrases. Now, this is a part of a stamp set, which once again is retired, but I liked this Marriage is a Journey. And good thing you get to bring your best friend along. And then I liked the congratulations. So these all fit what I was trying to put together. All right. And then I have the designer series paper. And look at these colors. And when it comes to blues and the hydrangea, Seaside Spray, which is also featured in this designer series paper, perfect. Also, one of the things I looked for, because I wanted one of my panels of designer series paper to have some space for me to actually stamp in. Many of the designer series paper today that Stampin' Up! Creates has these designs where there's something along the edge and then something empty. So if you were looking through your DSP to make this card, you might want to take a peek at that. And then there were all kinds of different florals that I used in different ways on this project. All right, so let's get going with the card base first. Now, there's a lot of measurements in here, and it's because of all of the layering I did in the card. I am going to share this tutorial in my weekly email, and I'm also going to post this on my blog in a couple of days. So you can go there for the measurements. What's most important is to look at this card design and do your own layering with whatever you choose to use in your card, whether it is, a floral or something else, and how you like to layer up your cards. Hi, Betty. Oh, chilly in Michigan. We're getting rain here. It's a little chilly too. And hi, Kim. All right, easy card base here. I'm literally taking one piece of 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to cut this in half like I usually do for our medium-sized cards that go in an A2 envelope. So I am just going to cut this in half. Now, this is 11 inches, so I'm going to cut it in half at 5.5. One easy cut. Then I'm going to score it like I always do because it's 8.5 across. So I'm scoring this at 4.25. And make sure I have my scoring blade. Boy, this week I have been accidentally cutting more card bases. I think I'm a little scattered with the whole tooth thing going on. Another 4.25 here. All right. And scoring that. So it's these two card bases that are actually glued together that are going to make my trifold. And so I'm going to take this, and remember, you score and then you fold towards the bump. So I'm folding towards the bump. And then I'm going to fold the second one towards the bump. And what this is going to help me do is properly line this up, because what I'm going to do, let me show you my trifold here first. It's a matter of gluing one trifold on top of the other. And then you'll have literally a double layer in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to take the first one fold, lay it over, and it's going to go on top of the second one. And then you can test that you have this right before you glue by folding in and folding over. And there's our trifold. Okay. So, because I want to open the first one, and then I'm going to have 2 panels. And then I'm going to open this again where the 3 panels are going to show. And right here is where I'm going to glue. So just to keep this straight, I'm going to just slide these apart. I'm going to go ahead, put my glue on this, one on the top, and I'm going to just make a thin line so that I glue it together. And there's not really a gap, but I also don't want, you know, gushing glue, right? Okay, and then I'm just going to slide this one on top, and I'm going to line up right next to that score line. Okay, and then to double check it as I'm putting it together, I'm going to do my folding, and I am going to just push that together so that we get a nice seal. And the mono adhesive glue doesn't take so long, you know, to come together. All right. So there we go. We've got our card base. This is another one that will stand up for people to display, right? Okay. So we're going to do the, we're going to do all of the different panels at a time. So we're going to start, and we're going to do the easiest, what I perceive the easiest ones, not as complicated, right in the center of the card. So I'm just going to lay this open and inside the card, and you're going to see in the tutorial panel 1, 2, and 3 inside the card. So the first one that I'm going to do, and let's just start in the middle here, is the usual one that we call our card insert. And this is so easy. It's 4 by 5 1/4 in basic white, which is one of the usual things we do. But what I did is did some fussy cutting of a floral image that was already, let's see, how did I think I'll put it this way. And, you know, we have one down here. And then I have these side ones. Remember, don't get rid of these side pieces. Use them on the side, just as they're designed. All right. Now, what I did, and why I'm not going to glue this down right now, is I want to make sure that I don't make a mistake in what I'm writing on here. You know, when you write on a card, then you're like, I don't want to scribble on it, right? So I don't glue anything down until I write the greeting in here. So I actually, matching pen. These are G2 gel pens. I love them. You can get them in a lot of different colors. And how cool is it when it matches? The other thing is, remember, we have our Stampin' Write markers. Now they're discontinued, but I bet you can find a color still to go with the designer series paper you're using if you have these in your collection. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this set, and as I share with you, when I make my panels, until the panel's done or the card front's done or whatever I'm doing, I don't glue things, because that way I think it through, right? When I'm adding ribbon, etc. So I'm just going to slide that. That's really got all the parts and pieces. I'm going to write the greeting in here to the second couple, because see, on this one, I just covered it up, but I wrote in here before I glued it all down. Okay, then let's go to this first panel. And this is where I decided I wanted to do some stamping and get my message. So let's go ahead and do all the stamping for the card right now. So I have this piece of designer series paper where I have a message I'm going to put up here. Then I have the front panel where I'm going to use a sentiment. So we're going to stamp that. And then I have the middle panel where I also have a sentiment. And so let's go ahead and just get this all stamped all in one fell swoop. And I'm going to grab my Pierce mat because, oh no, I don't have to because these are all cling stamps. You know what? These are older stamp sets. So before photopolymer was real popular, I have these actually ready to go. So let's do our first one. This is the Love and Laughter Forever After. And I'm just going to tap on my ink pad because this one is very well inked. Remember, kind of check the area that can be missing is in the middle. And then I'm just going to line this up. And I'm going to go straight down and straight up. Many times I'll pick one of the darker colors. If I have more than one color to use for my stamping, it seems to pop a little better. Okay, and then let's do the one that is Marriage is a Journey. And put that at the top of this blank part of the designer series paper. And then I want the little saying, I love this. Good thing you get to bring your best friend along. Isn't that the truth? Make sure that, now this is a finer font, so I want to make sure that it is well inked, but don't squish it in there because it will make funny things on one side or the other. And I'm going to put it right above this design. Hi, Sue. And there we go. We've got our good thing. You get to bring your best friend along. It's got a little light in there, but you know what? That is the thing about handmade cards. So no problem. And now let's do the congratulations. And you know, when you have this out, think about if you want to make more than one card at a time, because it's nice when you've got all of the sentiments planned out, you've got your card design. It might be a good time to make that extra wedding card that you don't need yet, but you'll have it in your stash. Because who doesn't want ready-made cards, especially when you're busy? All right, so we've got all of our stamping done. Now let's continue to put our panels together. I'm going to just slide this one up because, like I said, I'm actually just going to, after the show today, I am going to get that one all ready to go. And it's actually for August. Gotta love planning ahead. All right, what I decided to do on panel 1 here on the inside is take some Misty Moonlight and just help that ink pop on what I stamped here. So, and I'm giving it a bigger frame overall. I'm not making all 3 panels match as far as the size of my layers. So you can decide to make the layers match, or you can add some variety, and that's what I'm deciding to do. And the thing I'm just trying to be real careful about is when I am doing my layering, that I'm trying to layer straight. And the mono adhesive glue really helps me to do that. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and glue this in, and I'll have this inside panel number 1 done. I didn't want to glue. Put out the glue. There we go. And then I'm just going to center this within panel 1. Okay, so panel 2 is there. Now let's make panel 3. And I decided to do this one simple as well. I happen to have, this is that one that has a larger piece of open area. So I'm going to just layer this in there. You think she's going to have enough of the blue hydrangea in this The second bride is using dusty blue for her bridesmaid dresses. So this is going to match for her too. I was kind of lucky that, they had similar things going on for their wedding theme. So I could just use this one card design, one set of designer series paper, and, good to go here. Well, then another piece of the designer series paper had a bouquet. Well, how appropriate is that for the wedding, right? So Fussy cut out one of these. Now this one I want to pop up. So let's just take a little mini dimensionals here and pop this up. And the nice thing, I'm not mailing this. This one is going to be given at the wedding. And so, I don't mind if this is thicker because it's already a trifold, right? If I were putting this in the mail, I probably wouldn't pop this up. I'd probably just glue it flat in here to make sure that I don't go over that 1/4 inch thickness of my envelope where I have to pay extra. But if you think yours is thicker than that 1/4 inch, then you can buy these butterfly stamps that are a little bit more expensive, but to pay the extra postage. And then I thought this needed a little something, something. So digging in my bling, I like this. They're birds and dragonflies. So I'm just going to put some dragonflies on here to finish off this panel. I have run out of or couldn't find my butterflies. So if you have the brushed butterflies, that would be very pretty with this as well. And I think I'm going to have just a trio of dragonflies there. All right, so that is panel number 3 all completed. All right, so when this first opens, this middle panel, I wanted it to be, a little noteworthy, if you will, a little pop. So I decided to do a couple of layers of things. So I also want to get the most out of my cardstock. So when I wanted to layer what is going to be basic white and then misty moonlight, and then I'm going to take another piece of designer series paper and put over this, I'm like, I can cut out what is going to be the layer for under my sentiment on the title page, so I don't have to take another new piece of cardstock. So I cut that out of here before I did that. And what I did is take 3/4 of an inch all the way around with my trimmer. And then this actually worked out to be the right size. Over here, I kind of just sized it that way. So let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and get all of our layers glued together here. So, layering this up and making this look good, it's just playing with all these measurements, right? And you can either estimate them. You can, slide things 1/8 of an inch one way or the other to get thin borders. I'll show you the little thing that I keep on my desktop and use all the time. This is my little picture frame with all my card layers. So if you just want to look at this and take a screenshot, this is, I refer to this every day. You think I'd have it memorized, but I use it all the time to make different layers. Okay. And then we're going to put the designer series paper on here. It doesn't hurt that this paper has a little purple, even though I'm, using the blues for the brides. They're getting a little bit of me in here too with the purple. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and glue this on this middle panel. So this card, when you open it, it's a wow. But as I'm making this, I'm sure you're saying to yourself, wow, that's pretty easy. It is easy. and it's fun. As I'm creating this, I was just delighted. Okay, then I decided that, okay, here's my congratulations. And I just wanted to line up, a layer behind here to have this pop. So let's glue on the congratulations. So a lot of times my sentiment labels will be anywhere from, this is a 1/2 inch, and then the layer is 3/4 of an inch, or the sentiment label is 3/4 of an inch, and then my layer is 1 inch. And then I'm kind of trying to feature this blue hydrangea, so I'm gonna put this down a little bit so it kind of brings their eye to that hydrangea. And I'm just gonna glue this one on flat. And then line it up with the edges of that layer. There we go. And then to make that just a little more attractive, I'm going to add some, these are in color dots, and the Seaside spray, if you don't happen to have that, our new Hydrangea hue, very close match for this. So that would work with this paper as well. And I'm just going to set off the sentiment. I think I'll keep it kind of close there. All right, so we've got our little buttons there, or our dots. All right, now we're ready for the star. We're going to do the card front. So let's do these layers. And I just decided to do what I thought was just I liked this background, soft. So that I can make the star of the show be my die cuts here that I used from Hydrangea Haven. Okay, and then I'm just going to center this. Now, if you were doing a design like this for your Christmas cards or something else that you needed more of one, I would go through and cut all these parts and pieces and line it up like an assembly line. And then you could make multiples of a card like this. All right. And now the thing is to place this at the top enough so that I can get this in the middle and then my sentiment towards the bottom. But let me show you how I'm going to glue together first this stem and leaf, because there's two parts. I'm going to get my little silicone mat. And I'm going to turn these both over upside down. Actually, let's just do this part first, because I have to get this one on the top. Why don't I do that? This is a really unique die in that it takes little flowers that are individually within a circle that I can push up from the back. So this is going to be 3D. So I actually am going to turn it over, and I am just going to push out these petals. Sorry, I'm skipping from one thing to another because I do need the placement of this before I can do the placement of the leaves. So you might not want to do every petal, every leaf, but just get a wide variety of them all around the surface of this. I know that over time we've had different dies like this, but I love the look that it has. When something pops up off of here, it helps, you know, guide your eye to something a little bit different. And we all like that little pop or wow. Okay, so let me flip that over. Can you see how that is 3D? It really looks pretty. And then the fact that this paper had multiple colors was also very attractive. Okay, now this one I am going to pop up. So let me just set that there, and I'm going to get the mini glue dots here. And, you know, when I'm putting this on, yeah, I'm pushing some of those petals back down. So I'll have to pick them back up again once I get this set to the front. All right, so I want this right at the top of my layer. And let's see. And then I just have to go back in here and pick some of those petals back up. And like I said, you don't need every one, but at least some of them across the whole front of the card. Okay, now we're ready to do the stem because I need to know, you know, where to place it. So let's do the glue, but here is the little secret to doing this. Now you can use a fine tip glue pen, but actually that's a lot of glue. So I like doing a sponge, and I make my own little applicator with the binder clip. And this is cutting, you know, a round sponge into a number of little triangles. And I've used this forever. I store it in here, and I'll plop it in here when it's still a little wet. I won't put the lid on until I know it's dry, and then I just keep that always on my desktop. All right, and then I'm going to just put a little glue in the corner here, and then I'm just going to tap the corner of this, and then I just go over, and I want to make sure that I get the bottom and the top of the stem in particular, and then around the leaves. Okay, and this will dry clear, but what I'm doing is just getting the whole thing sticky. And then taking my tweezers here and lining up the leaves and that, whoops, that stem. Little sliding involved. And then we've got that down flat. So that's the easy way. And once again, using the mono-adhesive glue, you get the slide factor. Okay. And then since I have this out, I can just do the glue on the back of here, or I could use my glue, but I might as well use up what I have here. And be careful though, because it can stick and rip. There we go. All right, I'm going to just set that over there to dry. And now I can put this on my card front. A little bit sideways. There we go. And then when this dries on my silicone mat, I just put it under my faucet and move my finger across it with just water, and it all comes off and it's clean again. So Very nice tool if you don't have the silicone mat. All right, let's go ahead. Oh my gosh, you guys, you know what? I did something I shouldn't do. I told you don't glue it till you're done, because look at what I forgot. The bow. So I'll tell you how I'm going to fix it, but let's just make the sentiment label first. So just gluing the sentiment label on the layer, and I decided this time, instead of centering it, I just wanted it to go to the edges. Okay. One of the things that I noticed when I did put this on, and I used the ribbon, is the ribbon looked exactly like the cardstock layer. See how much that matches? It looks kind of this exact same. So that's going to help in this situation. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to glue this down. And I'm keeping this lower. So that I see most of the stem. All right, and instead of lining this with the ribbon here, I'm just going to use the knot. So I'm just going to take a piece of that ribbon, and instead of, putting it around the card front and tying that, I'm going to use this knot and just put that as my design on here. I don't want a whole bow because I don't want to cover up the sentiment. So let's just get this knot to lay down right, and I'm going to get a mini glue dot here to hold this in place. So these creative errors, they can always be fixed and done differently, so no panic. And then I'm just going to put this right in the center here. And then I'm going to press my knot right into that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim the knot so that we have very similar look to the other card, just without the ribbon, being applied here too. Okay, so no harm, no foul, right? All right, and then a little embellishment. So one of the other 2026 to 2028 in color embellishment that we have are these butterflies, and I really liked these white ones to go with this, so I decided to use our rule of 3, and I'm just gonna put 3 of them. There's smaller and larger ones. I thought I'd use the little bit larger one on here, and I am purposefully putting them on the leaf and on this border so you can see them a little better. All right, so that's layers and sentiments and some die cuts, but otherwise it's using pieces of designer series paper and making the layers. And you have your trifold card. And then, so easy, let's just put this envelope together. So I have, as I said, 2 1/4 by 6 inches is the standard one for making the flaps. So I'll just open the flap of my envelope and put the glue right there on the flap. So if you're liking what you're seeing, I would really appreciate a thumbs up or a heart, so other people will be inspired to watch this whole video. And if you're watching on YouTube, I hope that you subscribe. Also, please sign up on my Facebook business page. Then you'll know whenever I'm doing something so that you can not miss one of my free broadcasts. Oh, I need my scissors that I use to cut ink. That one. There we go. Not cut ink, cut glue where there's glue. Okay, and then just cut off this other edge. And we've got our flap completed. The edge of the envelope. And so this doesn't get caught in the postage machine. I want to show you. I just make a little bitty dot on these edges. You know, sometimes it'll be like a perfect circle. You could also use a punch to cut that out. But to keep this flat, I do make sure that those little edges have a little glue on them. That way it will be more secure for going through the post office. So that's how easy it is to make that envelope. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, oh, hi, Joan. I'm glad you love the paper. I do too. So pretty, and I wish it wasn't retired. You're right, Kathy. I bought 2 packs of these, and every time I use it, I kind of go, but I'm so glad to share it, right? All right, let me just a couple announcements for you. I'm really excited about the class that I'm doing next Tuesday evening. I've moved the time up now to 6 p.m. because I found many of you watching were in the Eastern time zone, and the class can go 90 minutes to 2 hours. So I wanted to give everyone more time, but get people to bed on time. So we're actually going to do a stamp along. That's why it's called an online workshop. And we are going to make 6 cards. And we are going to make this so they can be any occasion cards, but very, very beautiful. They're a fun fold. And then this portfolio actually is going to be also how to make this so you can gift this or just keep it very organized for yourself for a card whenever you need it. And that class, I'm doing a customer appreciation mid-year price. So instead of $29.95, it is $19.95. And you're going to get a written tutorial prior to the workshop so that you can be prepared, because during the class, you're going to complete the 6 note cards, matching envelopes, and portfolio. So I am so excited to do that with you. I've already started getting people signing up, so I hope that you'll join us. And once again, that's next Tuesday, the live workshop. It's a stamp along, and we'll get the whole project completed together. If you can't make it live, it will be available, though, on replay video with the written instructions to do at your convenience. Okay, and then, the other thing I want to show you is if you really like the example I just showed you, that's in the catalog right now. This is called the Velvet Meadow, and it is the designer series paper, much like Hydrangea Haven, only Velvet Meadow, and in that peaceful pine, berry burst, cloud cover, daffodil delight, berry burst, bubble bath, and basic beige. Very pretty colors, okay? And if you would decide to order this or a part of this, there's also a bundle of dies and stamps that work with this. I have a free 4-card tutorial if you order $50 worth of Stampin' Up! Through Plum Crazy Stamping. And this design is beautiful with this suite, but could also be used for any stamp set. But you get 4 card designs with detailed instructions. And then Stampin' Up! And you know what? I am sharing this with you, but I understand that this product of the month may already be all bought out. But I'll share it with you anyway. If you're interested, it may or may not come back out. I'm not sure. My sense of it being sold out is, it might be over. But so adorable. I just got mine in a box. Was it early this week, I think? These little characters, these little penguin, koala bear, snail, and a little cow. Oh, I can't wait to make this. But anyway, called the Wild Bunch. And that's with a $75 purchase. You could get, now this stamp set's probably $21 to $24. Get it for $5. So you might just want to check it. Or if there are other products of the month still available and you put in a $75 order, you can get those for $5. All right, friends, that's what I have for you today. I hope that you are all doing well, getting some stamping in, and having fun and sharing that happy mail. So anyway, take care, and I'll look forward to seeing you hopefully Tuesday in class or not next Wednesday for another card making lesson, or it might be paper pumpkin. No, not yet. Yes. Well, it's going to be a card making lesson one way or another. So take care, friends. Bye-bye now.